Everybody has a story, but to see you single-handedly have a situation in your life where you almost gave up and you didn't. What was the pivotal moment besides the big, accident that you were in? What was that like for you, but right before that happened?
Well, I hopped on my Harley and I was cruising down Ventura Boulevard, and in the blink of an eye, everything changed. There was an SUV who shot out of a parking lot. I was T-boned, thrown 30 feet, and I just remember sliding across the asphalt. And when I finally came to a stop, I looked down at my leg and it was just crumbled into pieces. And it's crazy to see your body just completely deformed.
I want to say that 1% you were given by the doctor. I want to just preface this because this is so important. I got chills when you told me that, actually. Welcome to Make Things Happen with Diana Pagano. I came from struggle, living life on survival mode, and later found myself living in that same vicious cycle. Life is meant to be so much more than settling. Are you ready to stop dreaming for what could be and turn those dreams into reality? I thought so. Well, get ready to live life on your terms. Hello, and welcome to Make Things Happen podcast with Diana Pagano. Today, we have a very special guest, Amberly Lago. She's an inspirational speaker, heck of a story that she's here to talk about, and amazing things that she's doing as a coach and a speaker. Hello, Amberly. Welcome.
Hey, it's so good to see you. Thank you for having me on.
Oh my gosh, I've been so excited to talk to you on this podcast because I know I see all that you're doing, the story that you have, and it's been so touching for me to see. Everybody has a story, but to see you single-handedly have a situation in your life where you almost gave up and you didn't. So I want to talk about that. But before we get there, tell me what you're doing today and what has led you to get to the point where you are now. If you can share a little bit about where it all started for you, because I think going back to the beginning of where you were, what was the pivotal moment besides the big, I guess I'll say it, accident that you were in? What was that like for you, but right before that happened? Can you share a little bit?
Thank you for asking. Yeah, I did something totally different. Like I always say, well, I guess it's been 7 years now that I actually bought a laptop. And I mean, my whole life, I lived on the dance floor. I was a professional dancer. And then I lived on the gym floor. I was in the fitness industry for 26 years. I was sponsored by Nike. I regularly contributed to Shape and Fit Pregnancy and Health Magazine for articles, and had a clientele. And I used to help other trainers get certified and become trainers and show them the back end side of the business. And so it was a very successful business for me.
Yes. And, sponsored by Nike. Wow.
Yeah. And it was very
cool.
Very comfortable because I had worked really hard to build this business, but it was very predictable. I knew what my day was going to look like each day. I had the number of clients. And then, the day before I had a horrific accident, I remember I was asked to do this fitness video, and I remember sitting in this little cafe going, oh gosh, I don't really feel like going to do that video and this and that. And I was like, but no, I gave them my word, I'm going to do it. And so I shot this fitness video. And then the day of my accident, I had ran 11 miles in my best time and beat my workout partner, Sean, who it was the first time I ever beat him running. And I had this like cramp in my calf, like a knot in my calf. So I finished training clients. I was on my way to go to physical therapy. And I thought, I'm going to take the long way just so I can just enjoy that California sunshine and wind in my hair. So I hopped on my Harley and I was cruising down Ventura Boulevard, and in the blink of an eye, everything changed. There was an SUV who shot out of a parking lot. I was T-boned, thrown 30 feet. And I just remember sliding across the asphalt. And when I finally came to a stop, I looked down at my leg and it was just crumbled into pieces. And it's crazy to see your body just completely deformed. Like there was blood everywhere. I didn't know it at the time, but my femoral artery was actually severed. So there was a guy there, and I wish I knew who this guy was. He ran over, took his belt off, made a tourniquet around my leg. And one of the first things that I thought of was, well, this can't be good. I might have to train clients on crutches for a while. I mean, I literally was already thinking of what I was going to do next.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. Then there's the paramedics got there quickly. My husband, I was only a mile away from my house. My husband got there. And one of the things I said when I was being loaded up into the ambulance was, tell Ramson, I'm so sorry, I'm not going to make the appointment. That was my physical therapy appointment. And my husband was like looking at me like, you could be dying. Like, what?
Right. What
It's
are you
like,
thinking?
yeah, it's crazy the things that you think, and
Right.
everything was so vividly just clear. I remember every moment. I remember being in the back of the ambulance, and I had this gorgeous Lululemon hot pink jacket on, and they started to cut it off. And I was like, no, no, no,
You're
no,
like,
don't
what are
cut
you
this off.
doing?
And I was trying to wiggle the jacket. Little did I know the whole
Wow.
back side of the jacket was gone. Like, because I
Oh
was
my
sliding
God.
across it was disintegrated. So
Wow.
I get to the hospital. It was chaotic. It was crazy. And, I could hear my husband crying. It's the first time I'd ever heard him cry. And he's a
Wow.
first responder. He's a big, tough guy. He's used to seeing stuff like this, I
Mm.
guess, but not when it's your own.
His own wife. Right.
And I just yelled across the ER. I was like, honey, get over here. I need you to be strong for me. And the room kind of went silent. And that's the last thing I remember before he
Mm.
held my hand and I was put in induced coma. And when I woke up from a coma is when I learned, they said, I'm so sorry. Your leg is like a war wound. There's really nothing we can do for you. You have a 1% chance of saving it from amputation. So we need to go ahead and take it. I'm so sorry. And I said, well, wait a minute. You said 1%, so you're saying there's a chance.
There's a chance.
And I focused on that 1%, and we got transferred to another hospital where we found a doctor, Dr. Don Wiss, who was willing to take that chance with me. And it took 34 surgeries, and they piece by piece put me back together again. And
Wow.
it's been a long road of recovery. I'm still going through challenges because I was diagnosed with a nerve disease called complex regional pain syndrome. And so I've
Mm.
been in and out of the hospital, in and out of the
Wow.
country, tried every kind of treatment to get out of pain. And what I've learned is how to get through pain. And,
Mm.
look, there's probably people, you might be listening going, well, I can't relate to her. I didn't get hit by an SUV, or I don't have pain. But you know what? I think we've all been hit by something.
Absolutely.
And we all have pain, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, financial,
Mhm. Sure.
relational.
Right.
Pain is pain and it
Pain
demands
is
to be
pain.
heard. And it took me a long time to like really acknowledge that and be in acceptance. But I think when you're in acceptance, it sets you free. It's the first step to any transformation.
Absolutely. Wow. And how long ago was this that you had this accident?
This happened in 2010. So it's going to be, it's 15 years.
Wow. And the journey still continues, right? It sounds like you're still going through it.
Oh gosh, I was in the hospital 2 weeks ago.
Ah, wow,
And
Amber.
so I got to work out yesterday a little bit and
Mm.
today. And I was on the step mill just going, I am so grateful. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, for the ability I can stand, I can walk, I can work out. Because a couple of weeks ago, my husband actually thought, like last night, I was running into my office and he goes, you almost died on me and you're right back at it again. And I'm like, yep, I'm back at it. And that's the thing, we might fall, we might fail, we might feel like, oh my gosh, this is too
Mm.
hard, but we can always get back up.
Can
That's
always get back
resilience.
up.
It's
I love that.
deciding to get back up.
I love that you said that so much. And that's what Make Things Happen podcast is, a full circle of like how we show up for the things that matter in our lives, right? Everybody's making things happen in their own version of how we make things happen. But what you said just rings so true. It was that you did so much to get out of pain, but you said it's when you decided to get through the pain. It's like, I have pain, but I'm going to go through this and do this thing anyway. And one of the things that I talk a lot about is anticipation. When you are going through something, it sounds like when you were already in the middle of your accident, when you didn't even realize exactly how severe maybe it was, but you were like already thinking, what's next? What's next? And that single handedly is so powerful. And I love that you shared that so authentically, because that is what I believe propels us forward in the middle of madness. Like you said, maybe someone didn't get an accident, have your exact situation, but the tough things in our life is we can control if it can get worse or if it can get bad. And one thing I want to say, that 1% you were given by the doctor, I want to just preface this because this is so important. I got chills when you told me that. Actually, I'm wearing a short sleeve. It's not cold in my office or in my studio right now,
Oh,
but I got chills because that mindset that you brought didn't mean that you knew what was necessarily going to happen, but you knew that there was an ounce of hope. And I think that that's
mhm.
huge. People say hope is not a strategy. I always say hope is my strategy. And not that I'm going to say hopeful and go sit on a couch and do nothing, but you took that small ounce of hope. And when you do that, your energy shifts. Not to sound any woo woo, but quantum physics is a real thing I am obsessed with, Amberly. And when you said, I'll take the 1% chance, you were, guess what? You were open. You were open. When you're open to receive a different outcome, you just increase your chances, and you found a doctor that was your saving grace, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's so much about what you focus on. In fact, I just got back I have a client of mine, a client that I've had for 21 years, and
Oh,
she
wow.
just had surgery for, she's just cancer. They took the cancer out. I'm saying she is
Mm,
cancer free, but she
amazing.
was going through this surgery and she had to have this thing. And there's a 15% chance that she might have swelling in her arm because of the lymph nodes were taken out. And she was focusing on that 15% chance of how, and I was like, you have an 85% chance that
Mm,
it won't swell. Like 85%, that's huge. I was like, I had a 1% chance of saving my leg, and that's all I focused on was that 1%. And just like that, her whole perspective shift. She's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to focus on the 85%. So much is what we focus on and what we can do. And so I think
right.
that it's important to, I mean, and I learned this because look, I mess up. I get negative sometimes. I want to
I'm
throw in
sure.
the towel sometimes. I think if
Yes.
you're an entrepreneur and you don't
Mm.
want to throw in the towel occasionally, then maybe,
You're
I
not
don't know.
human. You're not human if that's the case.
Yes, but I mean, I remember being in the hospital and the realizing how gratitude changes everything. And I
Mm.
mean, that sounds so simple, but I was looking down at my leg. It was held together by these metal rods. And every day I didn't know if, is today going to be the day they're going to amputate it? And I remember looking at my leg and all of a sudden I started thinking about, wow, what if I'm, I can never run again? What if my husband doesn't love me? What if I can't work again? What if I can't chase after my kids? What if I die? Like it was spiraling down into a
All
dark
these what
place.
ifs. Mm.
And I thought, wait a minute, I've got an opportunity here. I've got a choice. We always have a choice. You have a choice. I can focus on what I do have and be grateful for it, or I can focus on all the stuff that what if, oh, look at
Mm.
all the scars, this and that. And I noticed when I focused on the things that I did have, like, well, I'm still alive. I'm breathing. I've got
Breathing.
great doctors. I've got nice nurses. I got friends and clients that are coming in to see me. I got a view from the window. I can't go outside, but I can see
But you can
how
see.
beautiful the sky is. And I noticed when I focused on that, everything changed. And so I focused on what I could control, which was,
Mm.
I asked the doctors, could you bring me a pull up bar? And they were like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I need a pull up bar because I was stuck. I was completely bedridden. I had a bedpan and it was awful. And I thought, well, if I have a pull up bar, I can still
It's
work
awesome.
on my upper body. And I asked one of my friends, Danny, that I used to work with, I was like, hey, can you bring me a couple of dumbbells? I think he stole them from the gym. I still have them over here in the closet. But it
Hopefully
was,
they're not watching this episode.
yeah, but I was doing everything I could between surgeries. Not that I was trying to get big biceps or lats. It was
Right.
just that I knew if I moved my body any way that I could, it was going to move my mind,
Mm.
my mood,
True.
going to make me feel like I was moving in the right direction. And so every day I focused on getting stronger mentally,
Mm,
physically, spiritually. I mean, boy, did I keep God close. And I always say, I have to tell you something funny. I always say, fully rely on God. Every time I
mm,
see a frog, that's like a sign to me that, okay, God, fully rely on God.
fully.
So now I guess I say that a lot because I have to show you, look, my daughter made me this little ceramic frog.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
And now
That's so cute.
people are starting to send me frogs. Look at this
Oh
cute little
my
frog
gosh,
sitting in
get
the
out. I
chair.
love that.
So I have frogs everywhere, and I'm starting to see them everywhere. And so I think that
That's
when we
amazing.
know and focus on something that's bigger than us,
Mm.
it's going to allow us to get through those hard times, that knowing you don't have to do it alone.
You don't have to do it alone. I love that. I love every little ounce of, gosh, such wisdom and real, like real things that you single-handedly have done to shift that perspective and gratitude. And we all have a higher self, not to get religious, but when you believe in something higher than yourself, you are just so protected. I always say, always being divinely guided. And I don't believe God closes doors that aren't meant for us, right? And so I always say rejection is God's protection. And we've heard that before, but just that resilience to keep going. So I love that you said there are days that I just want to throw in the towel. I love that. Being an inspirational, even motivational speaker as you are, and even myself, people that you're so positive. And it's like, hold on a second. You don't see the behind the scenes of what it takes to work on your mental health, your mindset. It's not like every day is kumbaya 24/7, 365. In fact, I don't believe that we were meant to have these emotional states 24/7, 365. We're going to feel at times frustrated. Hello, that's when we create change, or you're like, I've had enough, right? Or maybe there's uncertainty, like you mentioned. What if this? What if that? It's a real thing. I think that for me, and maybe you can tell me what it is for you. I think it's probably very similar that the difference between people that make things happen against the odds, is that they focus on, like you said, focus on what you can control. What are the parts of the outcome that you want? Doesn't mean that automatically you're going to just create it like a genie in a bottle, but you just increase your chances and it changes how you feel. Imagine if you're just focused on the negative, how's that going to make you feel? Are you even going to look for options that might give you a better outcome, right? And so I think that one of the things I think that separates people that actually succeed and those that don't, definitely the belief, but just knowing that even as a motivational speaker, I always say, I don't care who you are, everybody has their moments. And it's the
Oh,
fact, right? And it's the fact that you can't stay there. And we go to our own toolkit. Okay, what's our toolkit that we would say if it was a client? Well, did you talk to God? Did you ask for peace? Did you ask for grace? Right? Or whatever it is, mentally get in your mind, kind of checking yourself. You got to check yourself. No one's off the table. It doesn't discriminate.
oh yeah. People think I'm so positive, and I'm not. I have to work on it. And
Mm,
I talk to myself, and I know
I love
I
that.
talk to
Yes.
myself. I mean,
Same.
even this morning, I will say, here I was in the fitness industry for 26 years, and movement is a big part of my life, but I still have days where I have to talk to myself because I can listen to myself, and I've got that inner critic, the
Of
bully
course.
talks.
Yes.
But even this morning, I was like, it was really cold here in Dallas, and I have my cute little nugget golden doodle snuggled next to me and
Oh.
the fire going as I'm getting emails and stuff done. I was like, okay, it's time to get up and go to the gym. And I was like, oh, but it feels so cozy here. And I just want to, and I'm
Mm,
like, go to the gym, Amberly, get to the gym. Like, you're going to feel better mentally. You're going to feel stronger. It's going to boost your confidence. And so I literally had to like talk myself into going to the gym. And then, once we start doing these things and we realize how much better we feel,
mm,
then there are days where I don't. It's like I get to the gym and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my happy place. I've got my music going and I'm moving, and then I feel so much better and I'm energized for the rest of the day. But yeah, I think we all have days where it's tough.
yeah.
And being an entrepreneur, I think a lot of times, especially because of social media, it looks like people have this overnight success. And
Mm,
if you
right.
saw the behind the scenes of how long and how much work goes into a lot of things. And I mean, for me, like, people see, oh, I've got a, you know, USA Today best-selling book. Oh, I've got two other books. Like, oh, that's nice. A lot of times people, they want to have the book or they want to do the things, but they don't want to do the
Do the
work
work.
that
Yes,
it takes to get to the thing. And I know you've got your new book, and I know it takes a lot of grit.
it
Uh,
does. It
it
does.
does. I mean, I remember when I got my book deal for this last book, I came out of my office and I told my husband, I was like, guess what? I got a book deal. And he was like, oh no, when are you going to have time for that? And I was like, I will make time. And so I was up at 4 o'clock in the morning
Same.
just so I could write before I started with clients and my mastermind and other events. But I got it done,
You
So
got it done.
what's important, even if it's like just one baby step every day, that's what I would really like to share with you is like focus on what you can do today. Focus on breaking down that big goal into
Mm.
tiny action steps because look, when I had to learn to walk again, nobody was going to walk for me. I had to do it myself. And I remember being in a hospital bed about 3 months. I was home. I was in a hospital bed that we had set up in the living room. And the physical therapist came over 5 days a week. And the first day she came over, she goes, Amberly, lift your leg up off the bed. I couldn't lift it up, it wouldn't move.
Oh my
And
goodness.
oh my gosh, am I paralyzed? Like, why will my leg will not move? It was like there was a disconnect. And I think that's
Mm.
sometimes your body's way of protecting itself. But let me tell you, my first goal, and this is kind of embarrassing, my first goal was to be able to stand up long enough with crutches to be able to walk down just the little across the living room,
Wow.
2 steps down to go to the bathroom on my own. That was my
Mm.
first goal. It wasn't to run marathons again.
That
It
was not embarrassing. That is the most rawest thing you could say because that was in your mind at that moment. Like you just, it coincides with what you just said. Baby step. That was your baby step.
Yeah, that was a huge win, and I think it's
Huge.
important to celebrate the wins along the
Mm.
way. So often we chase these big goals or these
Mm.
big things and we achieve it and they're like, "Oh,
Then
well,
what?
what's next?" And so that's why I think it's really important to every day just be grateful for what you have, celebrate those small wins,
Absolutely.
and find joy through the journey because that's what life is all about.
And this goes to my next thing is your book. I see it in the background. I want you to hold it so that people watching on YouTube, if you're listening, I know you can find this book on barnesandnoble.com. You can find it on Amazon, and it's Joy Through the Journey. I love this book so much. It's like your middle name. That's like who you are. You're finding joy, and you single-handedly have had. It's not like this big thing, not even a big thing. Like people have gone through things, right? I've gone through things, with the way that I grew up with uncertainty and behaviors that I did later in life as a young adult and even single mom once upon a time. But it sounds like what you went through was a pivotal moment in your life. And it happened so long ago that this is such a perfect title for what you've went through. You share your story and you share strategies. I'm sure we want to talk about that. What can people expect when they get your book? Because it truly speaks to you. Like the journey hasn't stopped. You're still doing the thing from what happened years ago, right?
Yeah.
And you were just in the hospital a couple of weeks ago. So you are a true testament. Not saying that if you went through something, it's over, that you don't get credibility for writing a book. But the truth is, you're still doing the thing that is hard to do and you're pushing through the pain. And I love that so much. So talk to me about your book. When did you write it? What was your journey writing the book? And what can the readers expect to get out of it?
Well, I was really kind of well, I was scared. I was scared to publish the book actually because it's so raw and vulnerable and I share things in this book that I don't think I've even shared with my husband. So, honey,
Wow.
if you're listening to this, yeah, I don't know if you read that in the book, but I share things. And the reason being is because I want people to know that no matter how bad it gets
Mm,
or how, much shame you feel about something, because I've been there. And that's the first chapter starts out with something that I did that just was so embarrassing. It still kind of makes me cringe. But I want people to know that you can find joy and that pain and joy can coexist and you can
mm,
choose to build upon the joy. And so when I started writing the book, so I got this book deal. Well, I just want to tell you this story real quick. So
Please.
John Gordon is a friend of mine, and we were on a call, and he goes, Amberly, I have an idea. I've got the name of your next book. I'm really good at this. And he's got like 30 something books. I'm like, okay, what do you think? And he said, joy through the journey. He goes, because you just talk about joy, and it's just you bring joy through the journey. So I wrote that on a sticky note, and it was on my computer for like 2 years. And it kind of got to be where it was like, oh, that's just part of the room, and didn't notice it. But I always thought I would love if Wiley published my book, because I've got really good friends, Ben Newman, John Gordon, you have published their book through Wiley. And lo and behold, I get an email from Wiley. They want to
Wow.
get on a call to see if I have a book idea. So I get on a call with them, and I pitch this book idea, and they're like, great, send us a proposal. They got the proposal. Great. We want to do the book with you. Here's what we're offering. And I was like, holy crap, what have I just done?
They're like, oh, this is really happening. I
This
love
is
it.
happening. Oh my goodness. And so I started to write the book, and I thought, you know what? I've kind of lost some of the joy. I'm usually a pretty joyful person.
Mm.
In fact, I remember when I was in physical therapy, when I was able to drive to physical therapy, and I drove with my right leg up on the dashboard and to
Oh,
get
wow.
there because I had to have it elevated.
Yeah.
In physical therapy, I remember when I first had weight bearing, like I could stand on that, I was given permission to stand, the okay to try to walk. And I was in physical therapy, and my physical therapist said, hey, I've got this friend that wants to meet you. He went through something similar, and I told him all about you. I'm like, bring him in. And he comes in, and I do like a victory lap, like this whole circle in the middle of the physical therapy place. And I am just smiling ear to ear. I'm so happy. And I was walking, it looked pretty scary. I looked like I was like the Walking Dead, like one
Oh
of the
my
zombies.
goodness.
But I had the
Oh,
biggest smile. And the guy goes, what's wrong with her? Doesn't she know how bad this is?
oh my
But I
goodness.
was so focused on the good.
Mm.
So when I got this book idea, I realized I had let a lot of what I call my non-negotiables kind of slip.
Mm.
I had stopped working out because I needed to get on one more call. I had stopped with my morning prayer and gratitude list because I
Mm.
had to start early. I had stopped with going to my recovery meetings because I got sober after my accident. And I started to lose that joy.
Wow.
And I realized if I am going to write this book, then I need to pause and really get connected to my higher power, do
Yes.
things that spark joy. And so that's when I was like, okay, going to the gym. I'm still in my gym clothes right now. So even if that means I'm showing up to an interview and my hair's not done, and but I moved my body, like,
But you moved
so
today. Right. Right.
I think it's important, especially for a new year, to really think about the things that light you up. And you know what I do is every year I take inventory, and I
Mm.
go, okay, what brings me joy or brought me joy? What moves the needle on my life and my business? And what is not in alignment? Because there are things that I
Love
did
that.
that it was a waste of time. And I say waste of time because it really was. I could have been doing something completely different.
I
And
love
so I
that.
think it's important to acknowledge those things, but really to stop and think about focusing on the joy, like
Mm.
do what I call joy spotting. So everywhere you go, look for the things that light up the joy that's within you.
I love that so much. You're giving such tidbits for sure about what it is that, is at our disposal. And when you do something, and you mentioned light your heart on fire, something that brings you joy, I do believe wholeheartedly that that's when real alignment comes into play. And when you get into that alignment versus doing things that don't feel right, doesn't help you move forward, doesn't sometimes energies that relationships that drain you, whether it's a coworker or whoever, and I love that you're talking about auditing your where you're spending your time. What is it that you're doing? Doing a little bit of like almost like an audit of where you're spending your time. Because when you are aligning yourself with that energy, right? When you have joy, first off, that's energy. That's energy. And when you have the right energy, regardless of what it is, could be excited. You're just like, I love this. I could do this all day. working on your business, moving yourself forward, doing the thing that, mentally, just whatever it is that brings you true joy, you're on a different playing field. Would you say?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Energy is everything, and everything is energy. I feel like you can feel somebody's energy before they even speak. And
True.
um, I mean, you can feel somebody's energy through the screen. I mean, we've been following each other on social media for
Yeah,
a
we have.
while. And then as soon as we connect here, it's like I found my,
I know.
long lost friend. Like we've been
Yes.
connected, like we've known each other forever. And it's
Yes.
because I love your energy. And I'm sure that's why so many people listen to your show and love your show.
Oh, thank
It's
you.
because you have such great energy.
You're my sister from another mister because we are both Texas. I was born in Texas, just like, well, you're now in Texas, but
Yeah. Yeah.
no, it's true. It's true. Energy is everything. And I love, so with your book, it sounds like you got very vulnerable. Thank you for sharing. Even your being sober. I think that's really huge. And it sounds like you just let it all out in this book. And I think that, there's so many amazing books by so many amazing people doing great, great work, especially in personal development, inspirational books. But it sounds like this is very raw and very personal of what you went through. And I love that your authenticity. I think that that's what attracted me to you. I got to be honest with you, that's huge. And again, I'm not saying people aren't doing great things, but they're very gimmicky, and that's why I'm very particular who I have on my podcast. But I know that I'm not Oprah, right? I'm not here to be picky or choosy. It's just the reality. I love people that inspire me because I want to bring my audience on this podcast with inspirational content, but also
Mhm.
tangible things that they can do. I mean, here you just shared all the things that, what you went through and what you did, and you went piece by piece. And thank you so much for being so descriptive. I think that that's what audience want to hear is like, hey, maybe I'm not in that shoes, but I am in a difficult time. And so, did you ever see yourself walking again when
Yes.
you saw
Oh,
yourself?
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
talk to me
I
about
was
what was going on in your mind before it actually happened.
Well, you know what? I don't know about you, but when somebody tells me I can't do something, it is like so motivating to me. Like, and I think like just
Same.
tell a woman that she can't do something and that's the first thing she's going to do.
Watch
I
out.
was told, well, I remember being so excited when I was getting out of the hospital the first time, and I was so excited to run again and get back to my clients. And I had this one doctor, he was my pulmonary doctor,
Mm.
and he looks at me and he could tell I was so excited to leave. And he goes, "Oh, well, you're not going to run again. You probably won't walk again. And you'll never wear shorts again with scars like that." And I was just like, I felt like, you know, what are you telling me? Why would you tell me that? And so I was really motivated, and I was like, I am going to walk again. And then I went in for a checkup, and I thought this doctor, it was a different doctor now,
Mm.
was going to be so proud of me because I was upright on crutches out of a wheelchair. And it had only been like 4.5 months after my accident. And I was not in a wheelchair. I was upright on crutches, even though it hurt like hell. And I went into his office, and that's when I got the diagnosis of CRPS. And he said, "Are you the kind of girl that likes to push through pain?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I have a PhD and suck it up. Well,
I
all
love it.
right." And
Yes.
he said, "You need to stop. You've got something very serious. You got to get back in your wheelchair." And I was like, "Okay, for how long?" He goes, "No, forever. Like, there's no cure for this. You're
Wow.
going to be permanently disabled." And I was crushed
I bet.
and, but determined.
Mm.
And still, I believe that I can be out of pain eventually, someday, maybe tomorrow,
Why
maybe
not?
tonight, maybe right after this. No,
Maybe.
actually, I feel no pain when I'm doing interviews. Usually, I think it's the adrenaline and the excitement and
Love
the
it.
focus on getting to be with you. But yeah, I was trying everything for pain. At one time, I was on 73 homeopathic pills and 11 prescription medications. And when nothing was working, and I mean, I was doing radical treatments, flying out of the country to do treatments. I had
Wow.
$2.9 million worth of medical expenses.
Oh my
And
goodness.
when nothing was working, that's when I started drinking. And I'd never been a drinker. And by the grace of God, I got sober in 2016.
Amazing.
And little by little, I did whatever I could to be able to walk again. And when I say little by little, so my right leg was actually stuck straight, like the joint was stuck.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
they wanted to put me under anesthesia and break, like break, break
Almost
it.
like break
So
it. Yeah.
bend it.
Bend it.
And I was like, you know what? I don't want to go through another surgery. Let me work on this. Let me see what I can do. So every day, I actually have a key to the physical therapy facility. I would go to
Wow.
physical therapy. Yeah, that's how much I was there. They gave me a
Right.
key.
Give you a key.
Um, I
Wow.
would put my leg in the machine that it could go either leg extension
Mm.
for your quads or your hamstrings. I would
Okay.
put it in there and crank it and lock it. So it would
Mm.
bend my leg. And I would sit in that chair
Wow.
and just have tears running down my face. And, it kind of represents the same thing that we go through as an entrepreneur.
Mm.
You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Gosh, the
It
pains of
does.
making mistakes,
Yes.
of screwing up, of launching something and it's crickets, it doesn't work,
Mm.
of doing a podcast and trying to organize it all and
Yes.
get the assets out and post it and put it in a newsletter and
So
everything,
much. Everything.
and
Everything.
it's just little by little it can be painful, but pain pushes you until
Mm-hmm.
your purpose pulls you.
I love that. I love that. Your pain is often your power. It
Mhm.
always is. And I love that you gosh, amazing. You are just a fierce woman. You know that?
Oh,
So when,
thank
I
you.
I relate so much because I've been like that since I was a little girl. Tell me it can't be done, it's gonna get done. So I love that you didn't take the answer given. I mean, I think a lot of people can probably share certain stories. Like my father, he got diagnosed with cancer like 6 different times almost. And he's not longer with us, but he was a bad drinker. He, drank a lot, smoked cigarettes in his whole life. And so I remember I was so inspired by my father because he had stage 3 lung cancer, and cancer didn't
Oh,
take my father's life. He ended up having a stroke, and then, from bad lifestyle really took his life. But
wow.
that's what took his life at the end of the day. But I remember saying, Papi, how do you do it? Like, how do you like stay so mentally strong? And he said, you know what? And very faith in God, but he said, I think about it like soldiers, on the side of the curve and say, let's go, soldiers. We got another battle here. And every time, when he got second diagnosis, third diagnosis, fourth diagnosis, and it wasn't just like
Wow.
a mild thing either. And somehow he was mentally strong. And I feel like I got that mental strongness from him. And even my own, I've shared this many times, but getting doctors to tell me that I was going to be on a medication for the rest of my life. I'm like, wait, how long? For the rest of your life? Because you'll never have, for example, I was anemia for a very long time, like you'll never be in normal levels. I went to a doctor in New York. I went to like the best of the best. I went everywhere. And they all thought I was crazy. And I remember telling the doctor, do you believe in God? And he says, yes. And I said, well, you don't know, but God knows. And
No.
he is my pharmacy. And I'm telling you, Amberly, months later, I got to normal levels. So I love that you shared that because it resonates to anybody listening. Maybe you have a story, maybe someone's shared with you, maybe it's your own story, but there's power. I don't care what it is. It doesn't mean that, oh, you're going to sit here and just hope for the best. If you've got told that you have a terminal illness, I want to preface and be very sensitive to people that have lost people with cancer. I've lost people, family members too, that from illness or from tragedies. It doesn't mean that, you know, to me it's miracles. Miracles do come true, miracles happen, but they only happen when you are open to receive a miracle. You have to be
Mhm.
open. Even God can't help you if you're not open. I don't believe, right? Like it says it in the Bible, it's how you pray. And so I love this episode so much because gosh, this is so big, this is huge for anyone listening in, that tomorrow whatever cards you were dealt, we all get them, small and big. Even if you're like, man, I didn't know my life isn't that bad. But if it's still your life, it's still your cards. It doesn't matter how small your pain is. If it's painful, right? It's the same framework, I believe. So if anyone listening in, I feel like we can talk for hours and I can't wait to visit you in Dallas. But if anyone's listening right now and they say, gosh, I've tried everything, I did the prayer, I did this, where could they begin in your opinion? Like what would you say? I'm sure we got like 27 tools for them, but what would you say is a starting point for somebody that just wants to change their life or get different results and has lost hope?
Don't do it alone. I mean, I think the thing that changed everything for me, that saved my life actually, was when I got to a point where I think there's a gift in desperation.
Mm,
And it pushed me to ask for help, to admit that, man, I need help. I am not okay. I am not okay. I need help. And to not do it alone, to ask for help. And no matter what you're going through,
mm.
if it's through with health, something going on with your health, don't do it alone, because when you share what you're going through, it divides your pain. Well,
I
when you
love that.
share joy, it multiplies it.
Mm,
But if you're in a business, I wish, let me tell you, I wish that I was just talking to my client when I was staying with her, the one that I've had for 21 years. And I said, I have this mastermind, these members that mastermind members I have, and I help them publish their books and start their podcast and
wow.
with their coaching business and with their website and their branding and social media and it all. And I said, man, I do that because I love it. I love to see these
Mm,
women just gain the confidence and go out there and share their powerful voice in the world. But I told her, I said, I wish I had that when I was an entrepreneur. And that's one of the reasons I do it, is
mm,
so, because it took me a lot longer to write my first book, to get on
mm.
more stages. And so
Yes.
don't do it alone. Hire a coach, but make sure you ask a lot of questions,
Mm,
because there are a lot of people out there, I know because this has happened to me, that
actually.
are real good at selling something,
Mm-hmm.
but they're
Mm-hmm.
not good at delivering what they said
Results.
they're going to provide. And so
That's true.
ask
Very
questions.
true.
Yeah, ask
Very true.
questions. Don't just sign up for anything. Like, get in the right rooms. When
Mm-hmm.
you get in the right room, it can change everything. I just
Everything.
interviewed Dr. Cheryl Wood on my podcast yesterday, and we were talking about how I was a judge for North America's Next Greatest Speaker, and she was one of the contestants, and she won. So I was a judge again
Oh, wow.
this year for North America's Next Greatest Speaker, and they always take the winner from the previous year and put them on the judge panel. So I got to know her. She ended up sponsoring my annual event. She's got a magazine. Because she was in there as a sponsor,
Mm,
she met one of my mastermind members who had an event, who asked her to speak. We got to know each other even more. Then I had her on my podcast. So I'm just giving you that as an
amazing.
example of,
Of course.
get in the right room, because when you are being authentically you and you
Mm,
invest in yourself and get in the right room, you're going to meet the people that you are supposed to meet, the ones that are going to say, yeah, go
yes.
do that. How can I support you? What can I do? Because
Love that.
I know when I wrote my first book, I was talking to people who they were all saying I was crazy. Well, because they had never written a book. When I talked to somebody who had published 76 books, he's like, that's a great idea. Let me help
Right.
you get that published.
Right.
And so, really learn to, if you're starting out and you might be struggling a little bit, seek counsel, not opinion. Everybody's
Mm,
got their opinion, but go to somebody who really has the wisdom from going through what you're going through, and they
what you're
got to
going
the
through.
other side. That's counsel.
That is huge. That is wonderful. I love that. You're not alone. And there's such amazing people like Amberly Lago. So talk to me. Where can people find you?
You can find everything: podcast, books, mastermind, my Unstoppable Success Summit, which is April 30th in
Oh,
Dallas. I hope you can
amazing.
come.
I know. I got to make it. Now that's the room you want to be in. So
Oh
I'm going to
my
put your website here.
goodness.
What's your website? Like where could they find
AmberlyLago.com.
AmberlyLago.com? Fair enough. That's easy. Just like
Easy.
mine, DianaPagano.com. So on there, they can find your masterclass, your coaching. Are you doing one-on-one coaching or is it group coaching?
Yes, I'm doing one-on-one coaching, but I've got four, and I only take five
Okay.
one-on-one because
Oh,
it's
no, so it's
very,
just one more spot.
yeah,
So if you're
yeah, one.
listening, grab that spot, or I don't know. I mean, we're going to air this very soon. So it's not live, but by the time it goes out, it's not going to be very long then from a recording time. So hopefully somebody gets it. If not, there's group coaching and you have a master class coming up, right?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time today. This was a wonderful episode. I'm so I feel like I'm going to go ahead and like rewatch this very soon this week, obviously through the editing, but I love this episode so much. Thank you for being here. And any last words you want to say to somebody listening?
Oh, I just want to say thank you. You're amazing. And I say we all show her some love. Let's take a screenshot and
Oh,
post it in our story and
yes.
blow up her podcast and just make it huge. Let's shout it off the rooftops.
I'm going to take a
And
picture.
and really thank you for your time for and thank you for listening in, because I know all of you listening, I know you could be doing anything. So thank you for tuning in. And I also want to say, reach out to me if that saved my life when I finally got the courage to reach out. But if there's ever
Love it.
anything I can do to support, reach out to me through DM. It might take me a little bit of time to get back just because it's me answering all my DMs, but you
Oh,
can also
hello. That's
email me.
awesome.
My email's right on the website, but reach out. I'm happy to support any way I can.
And I thank you so much, Amberly. And I'm, testament that I reached out to her on DM and she did indeed message me back. So, and not to mention, I've seen a lot of your testimonials, that of what you've done to coach people and the amazing results that they got with working with you. So I just want to say that because I've single-handedly seen a lot of that. And so that speaks volumes versus me not knowing anything or somebody not knowing. I'm sure you can find more on her website, but thank you so much for this. And that is all for this episode of Make Things Happen. Make sure that you subscribe because there's going to be even more episodes coming your way. Make sure to tune in next time.